and some of the conversations that we need to have.
How much money does your church make a year? This is important. How much money does your church make a year?
I don't have that number at the top of my mind. I wasn't coming to talk about the budget.
Okay, that's very important. The reason why I bring it up is because we're talking about what the black community, what the black church does for the community, right? And if you are taking money from the black participants who go to your church, you should know how much money you're taking from the community.
Warning: Dave's content is not for the weak. Viewer discretion is advised.
So I met a flat earther today. Usually I'm not the type of person that would struck up a conversation with someone that can't see my point of view or can't see any other perspective, because to me personally, I feel like it's a waste of time. But it was my first time meeting a flat earther. I've always seen videos of them on the internet debating other people, but I've never actually met one in real life. He was originally debating someone else on a basketball court, but I decided to budge in and ask him, do you really believe the earth is flat, or do you just say that to piss people off? And he goes, yeah, I actually do believe that the earth is flat. We have our own community. We meet every Tuesday at this location. Why do you ask? Do you want to join? So I'm like, okay, you guys actually believe the earth is flat? He goes, yeah. And I ask him, do you think the moon is flat? He says, no. Do you think the sun is flat? What about Mars? Do you think Mars is flat? He's like, no, where are you going with this? So I asked him, why do you think Mars is round but the earth is flat? And he went on about how the Bible says the earth has a firmament, it's sitting on pillars, therefore it's flat. I think it's important to teach your kids how to think and not what to think. Because I found out that when you teach someone how to think, how to break down a problem, you get a smarter society. And most importantly, you don't get any flat earthers. So today we're going to be talking about the black church and if it's causing problems more than it's actually helping. So shout out to Jubilee. So Jubilee put out this video where they had a group of atheists and a group of Christians. And they had a whole bunch of segments on there, but the one I want to talk about today was a segment where they talked about the black church and whether or not if it's actually helping. Me personally, I think it does more harm than good, but that's just my opinion. That's just my honest, brutal opinion. I'll explain as I go on. So without further ado, let's get straight to the video. Quick context. This guy that's talking right now, he owns a church.
At the risk, I think I look at the church with a very critical eye. I think that I'm troubled by what we do and what we don't do. I'm troubled by how we do some of the stuff that we do, and we miss the bigger pictures, right? And so for that reason, I had to just hold back and say, I don't think that we're doing all that we should be doing.
Sorry to interrupt, but what are some specific examples of that?
I think that we've gotten into this Western world mentality where church now is gimmicky. I think that it's about becoming so seeker-friendly. And we play to certain audiences, we play to certain things. We code switch organizationally, if you could believe that. You can have a church over here where everybody is praying for healing, but everybody's broke. This church over here is a church of prosperity. This church over here is a church of tongue talking. So you've got these different characteristics that if there's no balanced theological view of it, and so I think the church runs the risk of showing up impotent in some of the conversations that we need to have.
I think the reason why there's so many different shades of churches, ironically, it's because none of you guys are actually following the Bible. You pick and choose what you want. You take John 3 verse 16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. You take that, but you don't want to take the parts where God want a woman to marry their rapist. Oh, that's the Old Testament. We don't follow that no more. God gave us the New Testament. That's what we follow. But the 10 Commandments is the Old Testament. You guys still follow it. You see what I mean? You pick and choose what you want from the Bible, and you create your church out of that specific choice. That's why you have so many denominations. Every denomination is constantly competing with each other. If you want to know what's wrong with the First Baptist Church, you ask the Second Baptist Church. If you want to know what's wrong with the Second Baptist Church, you ask the Third Baptist Church. If you want to know what's wrong with Jehovah's Witness, you ask the Seventh-day Adventists. If you want to know what's wrong with Seventh-day Adventists, you ask the Jews. It goes on and on. I thought you guys were following the same book. Why is there so many different interpretation of it? Someone's lying.
How much money does your church make a year? This is important. How much money does your church make a year?
I don't have that number at the top of my mind. I wasn't coming to talk about the budget.
Okay, that's very important. The reason why I bring it up is because we're talking about what the black community, what the black church does for the community, right? And if you are taking money from the black participants who go to your church, you should know how much money you're taking from the community, especially since the community isn't financially stable,
Yeah.
but also churches that make over $100,000 per year should do exactly what the black church used to do during the civil rights era.
I think that's a harsh
we need
criticism. I think it's a huge
We need
assumption.
Wait, hold on.
institutions-
Let him finish.
So churches that do make over $150,000 a year, they need to invest that money in the black institutions.
With all due respect,
Wait, hold-
$150,000.
I do want to hear from his response. How would you respond?
You can start a bank with that.
I agree 100%. Let's hear his response.
How would you respond?
I think we have to be careful about drawing assumptions of what churches do. I was making a very broad commentary about how I see churches behave, but don't get me wrong, there are a lot of churches that are doing exactly what you just said they should be doing.
Turkeys and shoes aren't enough for our community.
Well, see, I can't get into that part of it because turkeys and shoes are not the conversation I'm having. I'm having a conversation about a methodology to reach a people and be a service to a community. I'm talking about down payment assistance so that black folks can own homes. I'm talking about doing financial stewardship education courses. I'm talking about, counseling and support systems for family and standing in the gap for mothers with the single mothers with children and making sure that they have mentors for their sons and their daughters. I'm talking about programs that actually affect folks' lives. But meanwhile, you're on a different page, and I get that.
Yes, but does your church do that? Does your church provide all those things?
I get that, but I wouldn't brush that very broad because there are a lot of ministries that are doing it. What I'm looking at is the impact of the way this division amongst the body of Christ actually shows up in the world. I think it shows up a little bit less impotent than it should. And on behalf of the body of Christ, I apologize that you've seen that more than you've seen the effective work.
Is that fair?
No.
No, it's not fair. No, you gave a broad assumption of what the church should be doing, but are they doing it? Are you doing it? Jesus, I wish I was there so I wouldn't let him wiggle out of these questions. Like the guy said, turkeys and shoes not enough. Prayer meetings is not enough. Going to somebody's house is not enough. Black people are funding the church every Sunday or Saturday. They are giving you their last penny because they believe the message that you're preaching. They are giving you their month's rent because you're telling them God told you to do so. And in return for that sacrifice they're making, you offer to pay them in shoes and turkey? Somebody's lying.
No, it's not fair. And once again, when you dive into this with Christians, I often feel that there's this neglect for politics. Jesus was a fighter. He was not pacifist.
Anti-capitalist.
He was not pacifist. He was anti-capitalist, right? So while what you're saying is very good, and I respect the fact that you are a leader, right, and that you do own your own black church, right? But there needs to be more. I don't want you just meeting with mothers, right? If my grandma is funding her own displacement every single time she donates to the church and they put their money at Chase Bank.
Yeah.
You understand that, right?
I guess, what specifically would you like?
What's the more that you're looking for within the churches to do for the black community?
I need the church to put their race. I need all black Christians to put their race either on the same level or above Christianity politically, not socially. Politically.
I don't agree with that answer, but I will say this. Americans are so obsessed with race. He's white, he's Hispanic, he's an Asian dude. People in the US are so obsessed with race. And as long as I've been living here, I never fully grasped it. I'm Latino, technically. I was born in the island of Hispaniola. But when I'm in America, I'm black. When I'm in Haiti, I'm Haitian. Everybody around me is Haitian. Whether it's a white Haitian, a light-skinned Haitian, you're Haitian. We don't identify you as your color. We identify you as your nationality. So when I'm in America, why do you guys go, he's black, he's white, he's Asian, he's Hispanic? Why don't you guys go, oh, he's an American? Why not just identify them as an American? Because even back then, you were segregated by your nationality or tribe. He's from the Igbo tribe. He's from the Agun tribe. He's from this tribe. Whether you had the same skin color as I do, we were still different because you're from a different tribe. But in regards to what this young man says, churches do not pay taxes. And as far as I know, all you have to do is register as a church and you would be deemed as a tax-free corporation. And when your members give money to the church, it will be considered a donation, not payments. Keep following me. There's a point to this. Enable for you to be seen as a church and get the tax-free incentive, you would have to do work in your community. That's the caveat. But the problem is there's not a guy with a clipboard that's from the government that's going to every single churches and making sure that they're giving out to their community. They're not doing that. So the church takes advantage of that by doing the absolute bare minimum. If the church really wanted to help build their community, they should put money aside for kids that's going to college who didn't get scholarships. They should put money aside for people in the church that starting new businesses so the church can invest in them. They should put money aside to form their own banks, not pass out chicken and giving out shoes. That is the bare fucking minimum. If there's a fire in the church, best believe they're going to call the fire department using taxpayers' money that you're not paying to put out your fire.
Yeah.
Right? We need to, as a pastor, you need to preach that the church needs institutions. Otherwise, every single time that our grandmas go and pay tithes, they are funding their own displacement.
How is that better than white supremacy, though, if you're asking us to be supremacists about being black people?
Lady, what the hell are you talking about? This has nothing to do with black supremacy or white supremacy. Did you listen to what he said?
Who said anything?
Well, you brought up white supremacy.
Do you know what supremacy entails?
Yes, yeah, I know what you're about to say. I know what you're about to say. However, you have brought up white supremacy several times, but now you're saying put your blackness above everything. Black is the only way to think about, and that is a supremacy in and of itself.
No, it's not.
Which I can respect your opinion on that, but I don't operate just because of my blackness. There's so much more to me as a human, a woman, and other things. An American, like there are things that are intersectional about me as a person in this world. That's not just everything has to be about my race, and I have a problem with that. Just that thought in general, that everything must be seen through the eyes of being black. And if you don't, you get your black card
Well,
revoked.
I think
This
what
is
he's
crazy.
trying to say.
Let me answer it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I never told you to use your blackness to make anybody else feel inferior by the way of their race. So no, I'm not spreading black supremacy. And I find it often that racist white people and black people in the church love to call me racist, bro.
I think you should put blackness before Christianity, but that's just me. Only because Christianity itself is flawed. And I think black people has been through so much as a group. I just think you could create a better camaraderie with the person you suffered with, as opposed to a religion that many slave masters use to keep their slaves in bondage. Slaves obey your master, even the cruel ones. It's crazy how people put religion over their race. Like, have you guys ever sat down and questioned how religion came about? That's a video for another day.
I'm not.
But
Love to call me racist and a supremacist.
I am not
What
the
are you trying to
church,
say?
though. That's the thing. I am not the
Wait, hold on.
church in the way that you're trying to label me.
Let him clarify.
Yes.
Go for it.
So what I'm saying is that if you are a part of the Black Power movement and if you are conscious of what goes on in the black community, then there is no way in hell that you will put being gay over being black, you will put being a Christian over being black, you will put being a woman over being black. You can get disabled. You can get disabled. But that's about it. That's about it.
But you have
no
black
reason in
people
the
whose
world.
entire identity is on their sexuality and being gay as well. So what about that?
The reason
you don't have
why-
a problem with that because if they're not Christian, then it's okay to be gay and black, right?
It depends on how you
Oh, now
align
it
yourself
depends.
politically. I just said you guys
It
can be
depends.
Christian. You guys can be
isn't our
Christian,
existence
but you
more
need
than
to
just our political
prioritize
stance?
blackness.
Isn't our existence more than our political stance?
That's force-fed to you, brother, to be ignorant.
No. It's my belief. It's well thought out. I believe that who I am as a person is very much more broader than what you're describing I should be. Right? I think that I just do. Now, am I for the cause and the advancement of black folks? Absolutely.
How?
Globally.
How?
I'm not here to prove my blackness to you. I'm here to talk about, I'm talking about the difference, the chasm between you and I with the belief system. And what I'm saying is, while I respect you, you got to respect me for this conversation to be fluid.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I'm not challenging you or diminishing what you believe. I'm listening to you and I understand your come from. But the only way we experience another culture is that we explore our commonalities. So I get your passion. I get your passion, and I definitely do the work in our community. And if you're suggesting that we should probably do other work, then let's have that conversation, because having a conversation that makes me feel like I need to surrender my black card is a conversation that gives us more of a chasm, so we never get there together.
Why in the
That
face
becomes
of
another schism.
pro-blackness, why in the face of pro-blackness, everyone else's blackness feels diminished? That's insane to me.
No, because it's the
what I'm
it's the
saying is that a
implications of
portion,
what you say.
a portion of your energy and time needs to politically go into black institutions and black politics in order for us to get a foothold in the
Says
country.
you, but
No.
you're not an authority for me. You're not an authority
No, my
for
brother says
all black
political
folks.
science.
No. Political science isn't my
Let's take a
authority.
step back.
Yeah, I just feel as black people in our community, we put an overly emphasis on Jesus and on the church. And in a lot of poor black communities, you'll see a bunch of churches. But you know what you won't see? You won't see a bank. You won't see a
grocery
hospital.
store.
You won't even see a grocery store with like good food. You know, you go to a liquor store or something, there's an era behind the liquor store. There's people that don't look like us. These are issues that aren't even addressed by the church. It's like sometimes I feel I go to a church, they don't even care sometimes. You know, they just want more members. You know, and as a person who grew up in the black community and grew up in a black church, I understood these problems even when I was young. You know, so these are problems that us as black people need to come together and figure out and stop building so many churches in our communities. How many Ebenezer Baptist churches are there?
But yeah, overall, I don't hate religion. I just think there's some stuff that needs to be ironed out and there's some questions that need to be answered for the community. I started this video by saying we need to teach people how to think as opposed to what to think. Because I feel like if it was any other corporations where they not paying taxes and they're milking the system, we would have said something about it. But because it's under the umbrella of religion, or Christianity, we look away because we hold that church so dear to our hearts. So more of this story, if the church can't create a scope to where they showcase their plan to funnel wealth in that community, then you're gonna have to pay taxes. You don't get to take people's hard-earned money and give them shoes and turkeys in return. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
If you like that video, I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. So like, share, and subscribe and get me there. Thank you.